Oatlands Manor is a former Tudor and Stuart royal palace which took the place of the former manor of the village of Oatlands in Surrey, England. Lots remain of the original building, so excavations of the palace took place in 1964 to rediscover its extent. The palace. Much of the foundation stone for the palace came from Chertsey Abbey, which fell into ruins after the dissolution of the monasteries. Henry VIII acquired the house in 1538 and rebuilt it for Anne of Cleves. The palace was built around three main adjoining quadrangular courtyards covering 14 hectares and utilizing an existing 15th-century moated manor house. He married Catherine Howard in the palace on 28 July 1540. Henry's subsequent wife, Catherine Parr, spent time at the palace as well. Records of her writings include a letter sent from Oatlands to her brother, William, Lord Parr, shortly after her marriage to the king in July 1543. It subsequently became the residence, at various times, of Mary I, Elizabeth I, James I and Charles I. It was to Oatlands that Mary Tudor retreated after her supposed pregnancy. Her previous residence, Hampton Court Palace, had housed the nursery staff that was assembled for the birth of the child. The announcement of a movement to Oatlands ended any hope of a happy outcome of the Queen's pregnancy. James I's wife, Anne of Denmark, employed Inigo Jones to design an ornamental gateway from the Privy Garden to the park. In 1646, it was a temporary home of the infant Princess Henrietta of England, daughter of Charles I of England and later Duchess of Orleans, sister-in-law of Louis XIV, whose governor smuggled her into France in the summer of 1646. Charles used it for his queen's residence, employed John Tredescant the Elder for its gardens, and was later imprisoned here by the army in 1647. After the king's execution, the palace was sold and demolished, leaving a single house remote from the site of the palace itself that may have originally functioned as a hunting lodge. The house. This was later occupied and extended by Sir Edward Herbert, the Lord Chief Justice, but was forfeited to the Crown when he followed James II into exile. It was then awarded to his brother, Arthur Herbert, 1st Earl of Torrington, who was later the admiral in command of the English and Dutch fleets at the Battle of Beachy Head. The house was again enlarged by the Duke of Newcastle, Henry Clinton, who laid out formal gardens. In 1790, Oatlands was leased from the Crown by the Prince Frederick, Duke of York and Albany, the second son of George III, and the subject of the nursery rhyme "The Old Duke of York." His architect was Henry Holland. In his second London notebook, composer Joseph Haydn recorded a two-day visit in November 1791. He says, "The little castle, 18 miles from London, lies on a slope and commands the most glorious view. Among its many beauties is a most remarkable grotto which cost £25,000 sterling, and which was 11 years in the building. It is very large and contains many diversions, inter alia actual water that flows in from various sides, a beautiful English garden, various entrances and exits, besides our most charming bar." He was the guest of the Prince of Wales and the Duke of York, playing music for 4 hours each evening. The mansion and hotel. In 1794 the mansion was burned down and was then rebuilt in the Gothic style of the period. After the death of the Duchess of York in 1820, the whole property was sold. It was bought by Edward Hughes Bull Hughes in 1824 and again remodeled in 1830. Hughes had tried to dispose of the estate by public auction in 1829, but this part did not sell. He let the mansion and adjoining parkland to Francis, Lord Egerton, for a 7-year period in 1832 and renewed for a similar period in 1839. The arrival of the London and South Western Railway in 1838 made the area ripe for daily commuting to town. In 1846 the estate was broken up into lots for building development and sold at 3 public auctions in May, August and September of that year. Following a period of private ownership by James Watts Peppercorn, the house became a hotel in 1856, known as the South Western Hotel. From 1916 to 1918, during World War I, the hotel was used as a hospital for New Zealand troops injured in France. Subsequently, one of the main streets in Walton-on-Thames was renamed to New Zealand Avenue in honour of these men. The 4-star Oatlands Park Hotel now occupies the site where the Oatlands mansion once stood, and there are still some signs of the earlier stages in its existence visible within the core of the building. Contrary to claims sometimes made, it is not on the site of Oatlands Palace, which was situated further down the hill in Weybridge.